How would it feel to be home all the time? Do not take me wrong. Being comfortable is not always a sign of growth, but I mean, how would it feel to be safe? Welcome everyone to episode number 62 with a very special guest. We have Esther Rowan Wells with us today.
Hi everyone.
A wonderful episode about finding your way home, because you will get to know Esther very soon. She is an amazing, very positive lady with so much strength that it will blow your mind. Besides her amazing business, Esther is also one of the amazing co-authors of the Notes to My Younger Self book that has just launched last week, November 30th. You are going to find out more about this, but before you get to know my amazing guest, let me tell you just a few words about her. Esther Rowan Wells is the CEO of an international business and mindset mentor born in Bristol. Her career started 10 years in care. After a few different turns, Esther became the CEO of her business, where she provides individuals who don't quite fit in or are slight misfits a chance to improve their financial security, physical health, and life-work balance. I'm not going to say too much about this, but when I read your introduction, Esther, about misfits, I'm thinking, wow, aren't we all misfits? Welcome, Esther. It is such a pleasure to have you here with us today.
Welcome. Thank you so much for having me. It's my honor to be here with you.
Esther, you have quite some experience with moving past very strong traumatic events in your past, and I can only say that I admire you beyond words. So, my dear, can you please start by telling us all about your story? Who are you?
Who am I? Wow, that's a big question. I'm still figuring it out. I don't actually know who I am, especially over the last year or so. As we talk, you'll find out why, but I'm changing. Who I'm becoming is not who I was. I don't feel that I can have gone through the years I've gone through and not be someone else. So who I am is a very fluid situation at the moment, should we say? But let's start with the basics. I live now up in Yorkshire. I am married. I run my own international business from home. I am a co-author. Wow, that's the first time I said that on a live video. I am a co-author to a book that has just been launched. And so why don't I start that? So the book which was launched was volume 4. So the amazing, incredible, extraordinary Cassia Lockett, it's her baby. And I think it was around 2016, around that mark, maybe a bit earlier. She won Coal Boxing Day, was on a walk, and she had the inspiration of wanting to impact 1 billion lives in a positive way. So 1 billion lives, that was quite an extraordinary thing to achieve. And she decided the way she was going to do it was to write a book where each chapter was written by someone else and looking back on a pivotal moment in their life and sort of giving a voice back to that younger version of yourself. So the idea is it's giving advice, encouragement. Some people just want to give themselves a hug. Some people want to give them a warning of what's happening. Some people want to give you a kick up the And we will, so it's different messages you want to give to a younger version of yourself. But the idea is someone who's going through a similar experience can read your chapter and get some inspiration or some ideas, or just feel like they're not alone. Just feel like they're not the only one going through it. And it has this really unique side of the book, what I loved. It was one of the reasons I joined, and that's the pay it forward idea. So the point is that you read the book, you leave it somewhere public, like a cafe or a train station, a hotel room, wherever, where someone else can find it. And with a note on the front, post-it note saying, this book was meant for you. Read it, love it, pass it forward. And so that's the idea of how it ripples around the world, gets passed from one stranger to the next stranger to the next. And at the front of the book, if I can show you here, so this is my book. At the front here, there's a little section, what's a gap of 10 boxes. Typically, I can't find it now. Hang on, bear with me a minute. Oh, where's it gone? Okay, so there's a space of 10 boxes. What's the idea is that you can read to leave the message to a stranger. So members of the public write in the book, leaving a message to a stranger. So these are the boxes that each person can write the message for the next person who finds it. And there's space for 10 people, so it could be passed for 10 different people. And that's the concept. That's the way we impact all these people in a positive way. But Kezia does so much more than that. I don't think people realize how much effort, love, care and work she puts into it. So as a positive psychologist, she takes us back to the most traumatic times in our lives. She walks us through it. She helps us heal. She helps us look at it. She helps us face it in a very safe way. She holds space for us through the whole process. And she knows that we're all going to be looking at things that we might not have dealt with, we might not have thought about for a while, we might see it in a very different light. And the idea is she safely guides us through that. And someone who didn't have her skills or her understanding or her experience would never be enough to keep us all safe as she did that process. So the first people the book helps are the authors themselves. Everyone says we're such heroes stepping through, but we've all gone through our own healing process by writing these chapters.
Wow, this is amazing. Thank you for sharing about this very brilliant idea to just actually give the book to someone else, pass it to a stranger. This is amazing. Esther.
And obviously, we're too early to see how it's affected by volume 4. But with volume 1, volume 2, volume 3, there's been letters from all over the world saying, I found your book in the bus station. I found the book in the airport. I found your book in a hotel. This saved this. This helped my marriage. This helped my daughter. This helped my son. This helped. And yeah.
Wow. Very impactful. This is amazing, Esther. Brilliant idea. And I wanted to ask you, how much of your story can you share with us today on the Stories About Fear podcast? Because
okay,
I
so
know
this is the first time I've actually talked about the end of my story. And I promised you if we waited until after the launch day that I could share more of my story. So before now, I didn't want to tell anyone how my story ended because I felt it was important that people could read it for themselves. So if you know me at all, you know I don't do things the same as anyone else. I am very unique. I have my own approach to everything. And so I first approached Kezia about this book when she was writing volume 3. And we had a conversation, and I talked to her about being in volume 3. And she turned around and said, "You're not ready. This is not what this is for. You're not right fit for this book." And at the time, I felt a little bit disappointed, but I just got on with my life, carried on, didn't think much more of it. And then Kezia got back in touch with me and said, "We're on volume 4 now. Are you still interested? Would you like to have another conversation?" So I had another conversation with her, and I was sort of like, you know what? I'm not sure I have a story to tell. I don't think I have a story to tell. Not much has happened to me. And she was like, "Well, okay, let's just chat for a while." And she goes, "Well, what's been going on with you?" And I told her how that I went to Florida on holiday, and when I was in Florida, I slipped on a rug, and that led to me losing my leg. So it actually led to 5 operations, over a month in Florida hospital, being in complete agony, to be flown back in a medical plane, what was one of the most horrendous journeys of my life, with a nurse who was actually really horrible to me the whole journey. And made the journey a lot harder and a lot more difficult for me than it needed to be. To land, to be rushed off into an ambulance, separated from my husband. I didn't even say goodbye to him. We were, 1 second we were together in the ambulance, and I was going that way, he was going that way. And as I got pushed off on the trolley, I remember thinking, "Oh, I'll see him tomorrow. It's not a big deal. It doesn't matter. I'll see him in the next couple of days." And then the hospital put me into isolation for 2 weeks. Complete isolation, completely on my own for 2 weeks. And that was partly because of COVID, partly because I've been abroad and all these things. So I wasn't even in a bay with other people. I was totally on my own. And it was within 24 hours of me being home, the doctor came to talk to me and said that he wanted to amputate my leg. So it was me actually phoning up and telling all my loved ones by phone that I had lost my leg in isolation. Yeah. So the book is actually about what it is about is the mental strength it took to get through it, the mental strength it took to get through the pain, and the concept of being in a wheelchair for the rest of my life. I do have a fake leg, and I am in the middle of learning to walk. But even if I do learn to walk, and even when that happens, I'll never be able to be on the leg 24 hours a day. So there will always be part of the day I have to be back in my wheelchair. And they will always be part of the day that the leg will hurt or be tired or you'll be painful. If you leave it on too long, it just starts to rub. It creates like bed sores around the edge of where the leg actually joins the stump. So you actually can't leave it on all day. So how long or how much time I spend in the chair, how much time I would spend walking on that leg, no one quite knows at the moment, because I'm still learning. I'm still learning to walk. I've just started to walk 5 weeks ago. So it's all very, very new.
You are an absolute inspiration to me. You know, Esther, just listening to you now, yeah, we sometimes think, I have such a tough situation at home. I'm full of problems, but listening to you share what you went through, oh my
The one thing I
God.
will say about that is, the amount of people who have said to me since the accident, when I've asked what's going on with them or what's happening, they go, "Oh, it's nothing compared to what you're going through." And since when is it a competition? Since
Exactly.
when is it about us competing? We all go through good times and bad times. What I try and get across in my chapter is what you talk to yourself, how you talk to yourself, the language you use, the wording that you say, the way you express yourself affects you physically. Mentally and physically are connected as one. You cannot separate the two. And the person who talks the most horrible to yourself usually is yourself. And it's worse because you can't get away from yourself. You can't tell yourself to be quiet, putting it politely. That's me trying to word it in the politest way I can. You can't tell yourself any of those things. So you have to learn to be kinder to yourself. You have to learn to be more loving to yourself. You have to learn to be a bit more generous to yourself. And this is what my journey's been about. You know, I don't want anyone to read my book and think it's not been hard. I don't want anyone to read my book and think I haven't had dark days. And I haven't had days I want to tell the world to go away and curl up in a ball and never wake up. I've absolutely had moments where I have felt what would happen if the world just stopped here. Not that I wanted to kill myself, that's not what I felt, but what if the world just stopped? There was nothing more, just stopped. No more pain, no more grief, no more hurt in the world, no more violence in the world, no more killing, no more hunger, no more war, nothing. It just all stopped. But then I realized if that stopped, all the good would stop, all the laughter, all the fun, all the excitement of a child playing, just a child laughing. Of, you know, some of the things what kept me going the most when I was in hospital were I asked some of my closest friends to send me voice clips because my vision started getting really blurred because of all my medication I was on, all the painkillers I was on. So I couldn't read the texts and messages on the phone anymore. So people were sending me these messages that I couldn't read. And so I was asking people to send me voice clips. And people started saying, I don't know what to say. And I said, just tell me about your day. Quite honestly, just hearing a normal, boring day, like, oh, got up and went to work today, and I did a bit of shopping on the way home, it meant so much to me. It sounds really strange, but actually it made me realize there was an outside world and it was still existing, and that one day I'd be part of it again. And that actually I didn't allow myself to say too dark for too long. I would pick myself up, I would shake myself down, and I would say, you're not going there. I would physically stop myself going there because I know how dark I can go. I've been in places at previous times in my life what have been so dark, and to climb out of them, it's taken everything I could have. And I was determined not to let that happen this time. And wow. I was determined not to be that person who just sit there whinging and complaining and moaning about their situation, but to make something of it. Wow. Now, that doesn't mean it hasn't been really hard. It doesn't mean I haven't suffered or lost things or any of that. I mean, I've lost a lot. I've lost my freedom. I've lost my independence. I've lost relationships. I've lost a lot. It's just I choose what I focus on.
You just said something so powerful that I can literally feel it on my skin, Esther. You choose to be positive. You make the choice to do something good with everything that happened. And there are little times where I am lost for words. My dear, this is one of those times. I cannot even begin to express how unbelievable you are, how proud you need to be of yourself, Esther. This is magnificent. You are using your story to do so much good in this world.
And I hope so. I hope it makes a difference because, you know, it's been incredibly personal what I've opened up to. I've opened up because I want to make a difference. And I have the disadvantage of I'm still going through it. I'm still figuring out how I feel about it all. I'm still figuring out how to come to terms with the fact that I'm going to be an amputee for the rest of my life. I'm still figuring out, I still wake up every morning hoping to see my leg. I still wake up every morning hoping that it was some kind of nightmare and that it's not real. I don't know if that will change. I hope it will one day. I hope one day I don't wake up and have that instant grief.
What I love about you so much, Esther, is that you didn't deny your feelings. The mental pain that you would have felt if you would have said, no, 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 I'm going to reject the situation, this cannot be. I think it would have been so much more harder for you. Yet you embraced the feelings, you accepted that you need to go through it all, and you are growing each day. God is...
I accepted I needed to go through it all, but I also accepted it was a choice how I looked at each stage. Okay, so let me give you a good example. When I was wreathing with agony and experiencing more pain than I could possibly imagine, and was on extremely high painkiller load, I was on very addictive drugs, and I can see how easily it would have been to become addicted. And yet I was still in pain. I remember thinking, I have to find a way to think about something else. I have to find a way to not just dwell in this pain because it's making it worse. So I put a message out to everyone I could think of, say, anyone, any suggestions, meditation, stories, anything whatsoever you could possibly think of what will help me not lie here thinking about pain. Not lie here. My husband would sit with me for hours, just holding my hand, squeezing it very tightly every time I gasped with pain. And he would try and play cards with me, he'd watch telly with me, he'd talk to me, he'd read me all the messages from home. Just anything to distract me. Anything to make me think about something else for a little while. And that's when the voice clips of people's days really helped, because it made me think about something else for a little while.
I'm so grateful for your husband. I'm so grateful to him for being such an outstanding support system. So Esther's husband, you have all of our admiration for sure. This is
you would love that. Yeah. I mean, in the book, there's standard questions in each chapter, what each author answers. So the chapter's based around a letter to your younger self, but also has certain questions. And one of the questions, if you could change anything, what would you change? And my first instinct was, well, I would change the fact I didn't fall. And I didn't hurt my leg. And I changed the fact that I just changed the accident. It never happened. And then the amazing Kezia said to me, okay, let's look at that for a second. If you didn't fall, how would you feel if it was your husband who fell instead? How would you feel if it was your husband who lost his leg instead of you? And my whole stomach just fell out. I just went, and I realized it wasn't the accident I would change. It was the pain that he went through watching me go through. If I could change anything, it would be the pain that he had to suffer because of my accident. The outfall and the outpour into our relationship was come way past what happened in hospital. where we are now in our lives and in our relationship. You know, if I could take back all the pain from the last year, that's what I would do.
Wow, this is very powerful, and it just shows how us human beings are so much more caring towards the people that we love than even to us sometimes.
Yeah,
Amazing.
and that does need to change. We do need to be more loving and caring for ourselves. But to me, when Kezia asked, would it be easier if it was watching someone I love go for it? The answer was absolutely not, not in a million years. I'd rather go through it than watch someone I love go for it. And I feel, I don't know how to explain this in a way what won't sound like I'm glad I'm in a wheelchair. Let me be really crystal clear here. I am not glad I'm in a wheelchair. I am not glad I've lost my leg. I would give anything back to have the independence of my old life. I would. However, I have discovered so much about myself and who I am and what I am, who I'm growing into and what I'm capable of becoming. And throughout my chapter, I talk about, my chapter's called The Lame Duck. And that's kind of in honor of my mum. Because when I was little, my mum used to call me the lame duck. And it sounds like a negative thing, but it wasn't at all. What she meant was when I was in primary school, I would always make friends with the people on the outskirts. So the kids what were unpopular, the kids what were teased, or the kids what were bullied, or the kids were a little bit different for whatever reason. And we'd make our own little small group and sort of follow each other around like ducks. So mum would always see us like the sort of lame ducks, the misfits. And that's where the misfits come from. And I've been asking all sorts of people when I say, oh, let's ask you, come on, this is the, if I say the word misfits to you, what do you automatically think of?
Misfit. I would consider that we are all misfits, Esther, to be honest, as I mentioned at the beginning of our talk, because we are so unique. Each and every one of us has just so much inside. Our personalities, our emotions can never ever be compared to anyone else's because of everything that we have inside us, the dreams, the hopes, who we want to become. So I would say that we are all misfits. What do you think, Esther?
And I would agree with that. But if you look at the English dictionary, they say misfits is a really negative thing. They describe misfits as someone who's a rebel, causing trouble, someone on the outsides of the law, like stirring it, the boy from the wrong side of the track, or the girl from over there who's causing, you know, the uproar, the trouble, the reputation, the bad reputation. So I found it really interesting. So the way I think and see a misfit is someone who is unique, someone who wants to live life on their own terms, who has got no interest in fitting into a box, got no interest in ticking a box and just fitting in. I'm not talking about the clones will copy the trend. I'm not talking about the people you see walking around who look exactly the same and don't have any uniqueness about them. I'm talking about the people what don't fit in and desperately try to fit in. And I realized that for my business, that's actually the people I wanted to work with. I want to work with the people what feel they just need a chance. They just need someone to believe in them and give them a chance. And maybe they've had a bit of a hard time or a bit of bad background, and so people presume that I'm a coach in the sense that I coach people with mental mindset, and I do, but not in the way they're thinking. So I'm not in the sense that someone comes to me for coaching or counselling or mentoring and say, this is the area I want to work for. Basically, I don't want to do that. I have no interest in doing that because I don't have the patience for it. I would be kicking them up the tickets and saying, get on with your life. Stop whinging. Stop complaining. Just get on with it. I have no interest in sitting there listening to people whinge and analyse and grow. I just, no. Life's too short. So if you're the kind of person that wants to come along and complain at me about how hard life is and how difficult you have it, please don't, stay away. I'm not interested. I'm just not. And I'm sorry that sounds brutal. I have my hand out. But if you want to come to me and say, you're having a hard time, but this is what you're doing to pick yourself up, I'm there. I'll be your biggest cheerleader. I will be screaming for you from the sidelines. I'll do everything in my power to make it possible.
I
Okay?
am
But
loving it.
someone who won't do something to help themselves, however small it is, I'm just not interested. I'm just not. I shared when I was in hospital after they took my leg, I went back into a bay. So there were 6 patients in the room. And we were all pretty much in there for vascular problems, losing a limb, it was pretty much the same reason you were there. And there was this one lady who had gone in to see if they could save her legs. And she was told that they wouldn't be able to save one. And they might have to take the other. And she would sit there screaming in pain, going, whoa, poor me, poor me. She wouldn't even, like, they kept telling her the way she was hanging her leg out of the bed was damaging her leg because it was blocking the blood flow through her leg. And it was actually causing her leg damage. But she wouldn't bring her leg back into bed. She kept saying, it's comfortable like that. And I was just like, you're causing yourself more damage because you can't be bothered to move your leg back into bed.
Wow.
And she'd literally scream in pain, go, what about me? Pull me, bang, 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 pull me. And I put my headphones on, desperate, trying to block out the sound. And I could not bear it. I could not bear her screaming and crying about how hard she had it. Wow. Especially as the reason she was in herself, in the situation she was in, was self-inflicted. It was health decisions she had made about her own life. And I'm sitting there going, well, I've lost my leg because the accident has nothing to do with me. It's nothing I did wrong. And I lost my leg. And yet I'm still not complaining. I'm not whinging. You could do something about it. You're not doing what you could do about it. And I just had absolutely no sympathy. I got incredibly impatient. So my business is, I actually help people under an international umbrella build their own international business. So what I'm going to be doing is helping them get the right mindset to build that business. So I'm combining all the stuff I've learned about mindset and self-talk, all of that, to create the vision they have of their dream business, then using the vehicle to make it. So I'm not interested in doing mindset with just Joe blogs off the street because he wants someone to talk about mindset. It's very specific in the business, helping people to grow this business. And it's only people who are actually willing to do the effort at the timing.
I am absolutely loving this, Esther, and let me tell you why. Not only your unbelievable, bubbly, fun, super positive personality, but your honesty. And I completely agree. You cannot help anyone that does not want to be helped. There's nothing that you can do. You could be the best, most amazing coach in the world, and I know that you are. But if they are not willing to do the minimum, the bare minimum, to just want to be their best versions, to do the smallest action with all of the good intentions.
And to be honest, I just don't want to waste my time.
Exactly.
If anything, this accident has made me even more less impatient. Well, it's hard. I was impatient before. Believe me, for me to be even more impatient is extreme. But it has. Life is so short. My life's changed like that. I literally walked through a door, slipped on the rug, and my life was gone. Forever. Not gone as in I died. Sorry, that was kind of the wrong wording. But my life had changed forever. My family's life had changed forever. My friend's life had changed forever because I slipped on a rug, on a mat. It was just like a little mat by the back of the door, what was obviously put there for people to wipe their feet after they've been swimming.
It's indeed unbelievable when you get to think that things really are out of our control, Esther. We cannot change the weather. You cannot change random things being on the floor. And who would even think in a million years that anyone would have to go through such a life-changing experience? And you're so lucky.
It was the kind of accident you would expect to get up and sort of rub the side of your leg and go, ouch, that hurt, get on with your day. Or at the very worst, maybe sprain the ankle or just something really, really minor. But I dislocated my knee. I tore the ligaments behind my knee. I damaged part of the artery going from the top of my leg to the bottom of the leg. So blood flow wasn't getting to the bottom of my leg. The pressure of the blood all built up so much. By the time they got to hospital, they had to slit my leg open in 3 places. So then I had 3 open wounds at the bottom of my leg, what then got infected deep inside where the bone was. The infection was so bad, they were actually taking me to theatre at some point to clean out the infection, to try and get rid of it. They were taking bits of tissue or bits of muscle to try and clear out all the infection. And the fact is, the blood flow never, they replaced it with a fake bit of artery, but my body never accepted it. It always saw it as a foreign object. So it just kept on clotting either side. So it kept on stopping the blood flow getting to the bottom part of my leg. So however hard the surgeons in America, and they tried really hard to repair the damage, it just never worked, not properly. It worked a little bit, none of the operations were a complete fail, but none of them were a complete success either. And so when I got back to the UK, and pretty much straight away, the doctor told me he wanted to take the leg. I mean, really soon. Look, what basically happened, I went down for a scan, they saw there were some more clots. I said, oh, so we're going to theatre, because that's what they've done in America. Every time they've seen clots, they've rushed me to theatre. But this time they didn't, because they just said, there's no point. We can't tell when the clots formed. If they formed when you were in America, the leg's already gone. It's too late. It was a 12-hour flight. So because they couldn't tell how long the clots had been there, they couldn't tell how long my leg had been without blood. So, and they also said, it's just so badly damaged, it's so badly infected. And the doctor was surprised that American team hadn't already taken my leg. Now, there's a debate about whether they should have or whether they wouldn't have. But the reality is I probably wouldn't have let them, because I was only ready to let the UK take the leg because I'd been through all the operations fighting to try and save it. So if I hadn't been through those operations, I probably wouldn't have let them take it anyway. I probably would have fought for it. But because I'd been through so many operations and so much pain, I was given the chance to go through 3 more operations. And the consultant said to me, well, this is your options. You can go through 3 more operations. We don't think they will be successful. We don't think it will work. It will cause you a longer recovery period than any of your other operations, and it will cause you more pain. And we don't think it will work. On top of that, we'll have to take parts of your good leg to try and save your bad leg. So then your good leg will probably be too weak for you ever to walk again, because you won't be able to take a fake leg on your bad leg because your good leg won't be strong enough to support it.
Unbelievable. And
So
Esther,
they were actually saying to me, do you want to go through months and months more of torture for it not to work? That's basically what they were saying. And there were members of my family who wanted me to fight, who were very concerned about me making the decision because they were worried I'd regret it. They were worried I was making the decision out of fear and pain, and that the day would come I'd regret it. And they weren't wrong. I was making the decision out of fear and pain. It was bloody painful. I knew what I'd been through. It had been really, really painful. But that doesn't mean my decision was wrong. It was, I know what I'd gone through. I knew I couldn't carry on going through it. And I also knew I didn't want to take the risk. At least this way, I knew there was a good chance I could walk again, just with a fake leg.
you mentioned fear, Esther. If there's anyone on this planet that can tell us what fear has taught you through this unbelievable experience, what would you say to us? What would you say to everyone listening and watching us?
Yeah, look, being brave is not the absence of fear. It's doing it anyway. And that's a quote from somewhere, and I can't think where. It's actually a quote. You being scared is natural. Good things happen in your life, you're nervous. It's new, it's anxious, it's bad. Being scared is not a bad thing, and we shouldn't hide from it. We just shouldn't let it consume us. You know, you have to keep on doing, and it's what I leave my whole chapter with, and that's the saying, carpe diem, seize the day. Life is too short. If you're in a job you hate, leave. There's another opportunity out there. If you're in a relationship that makes you miserable, leave. Do something, work at it, change it, mix it up, make a change, make an effort, try harder. Stop blaming everyone else. Take responsibility for your own actions and your own life and make it better. And you can make it better by, look, I believe in manifesting. But this is what it comes down to. I created an image in my head, an image up here that I went to of laughing and being happy again and living free of pain and living life full again. Being surrounded by people who loved me, being surrounded by people who cared for me. Those are the images I focused on. Those are the images that, and a lot of my healing has been to learn to love myself. I should mention the amazing, amazing Tasha Palchan, who is my mentor. She is my hero in every single way. She was the lady, her and Diane, her partner, was the reason I was in America in the first place. They were the two people running the retreat, what was the reason I was going to Florida in the first place. So I've just done this incredible retreat. 5 days of this extraordinary, amazing retreat. 2 days later, after I finished the retreat, I'm in hospital, having fallen, having an accident. And they have definitely been part of my journey to heal. And Tasha has been part of my journey to learn to love my new body. And I wouldn't say I'm there, I'm far from there. But I am certainly on the way of being there. Wow. I for a long time couldn't even look at my stomach, and when I looked at it, it looked like a potato, like a wrinkled old potato, and that's what it looked like to me. What I thought was quite funny. And then a friend of mine said, "Well, actually, I think it looks like an old man's bottom." Well, I was like, okay. It was a carer friend of mine who'd obviously seen a lot of Friends, old man's bottoms, and she said that if you want to compare it to something, that's what I think it looks like. And I was like, thanks for that. So it's about laughing. I don't want to take this too seriously. I don't want people to treat me differently just because I happen to be in a wheelchair. I want people to be able to laugh and tease and joke and play around and not have to worry about being too PC or too proper, or none of those things are what I'm about. I'm just trying to make it through. I'm just trying to find myself. And I can't tell you too much about the projects I have in mind, but today, literally, I spent 4 hours on the phone discussing a new adventure and a new project.
Wow,
It was meant to be a 40-minute conversation. 4 hours later, it was like, oops, maybe we should get on with the day.
wow, I'm super excited for you, Esther. This is amazing. And what you said now, this is the best golden nugget that I could have ever thought of. Don't take it too seriously. I love your sense of humor. I think this is something that we all need to do daily, to just focus on the good and move on. Thank you
You
so
know,
much
a
for
friend
sharing.
of mine, I will say this, he's someone I love dearly, and we were talking about why we connected and why we made that first initial connection, and he's disabled. We just met in the pub in a social event. It was a big gathering, and someone took me aside and had a go at me because I was teasing him. He had a slight stutter, and I was teasing him about it. And they said, I think it's disgusting that you're teasing a disabled person. Disgusting. And I'm like, hang on a minute. I didn't even know he was disabled, first of all. And secondly, why is it disgusting to tease a disabled person any more than it is to an able person? Okay, there's lines you don't cross. But there's lines you don't cross with everyone. I'm overweight. There's a line with someone with my weight you do not cross. It's not acceptable. It's not because you're disabled. There's lines you don't cross. But many years later, I said, you know, what was it? And he said, it was because you saw me, not my disability.
Wow.
And I think it's because I grew up with a mother who was disabled from a very young age. I am very good at seeing the person through. I don't notice a disability. I notice who they are, and I notice the inner person.
This
And I
is
would like to think others would do that with me.
This is so powerful. I love it. You don't put labels, you don't put any tags on people, you just see them as they are. This is beautiful, Esther. And I want to
But
thank you
should we
so
do that with the whole world? You know, wouldn't that be nicer if we did that with everyone? I mean, we did label someone because of their religion, or because of the color of their skin, or
yeah.
because their sexuality, or because I don't know, because the part of the world they live in, or the part of the country they come from, or whatever it is. Wouldn't it be a nicer world if we could see through all of that and realize that it's those differences what make us stronger? It's those differences what make us special. And if we don't learn anything from the last few years, you know, forget about what I've gone through. I mean, I've gone through a lot. My mum died. My stepdad came very ill. Me and Tim went to America to recover from the horrendous few years we'd had. We were like, we need a treat. We need a holiday. We've had COVID. We've had loss of loved ones. We've had illness in the family. All this. We need a rest. And then I fell and lost my leg. So it wasn't the rest we went away for. However, if we don't learn from COVID that actually that brought us as a one. If nothing else, it brought us as a one. The whole planet was connected. Every single person could have been affected in some way or the other. It didn't matter where you lived. It didn't matter who you were. And okay, so there were certain poverty issues that might have made you more at risk, or certain weakness like health issues and things like that, but it impacted everyone across the world. And if we can't learn that we're all connected, if we can't learn for us to survive and thrive, we have to learn and celebrate what's great about each other. I just think it's heartbreaking. I mean, what was the point of all this pain if we don't learn from it? What was the point of all this fear and terror and sickness and death and everything if we don't learn from it?
This is one of the best questions that I have heard in a while. What is the point if we don't learn, Esther? Brilliant. And I want to thank you for your amazing vulnerability, for your sincerity, for being so transparent and so honest with us. I am really blown away by how powerful and magical your aura is, how much you have grown and learned through these years. It's amazing. And my dear, before we say goodbye to everyone, can you please tell us, where can we get in contact with you and how can people start working with you?
Just message me through Facebook. I believe you're putting my Facebook details in all the details. Yeah, the best way to get in contact with me, send me a message, say hi, introduce yourself, and just connect. I love to connect with people. I love to talk to people. I love the fact my whole business is about making connections from all over the world. But be warned, if you actually want to work with me, there'll be a lot of tough love. I don't take fools. Don't ask to work with me if you're not prepared to have that sternness. It comes from the heart. It comes, but I will pull you up on your crap. I will tell you that you got to get up and stop feeling sorry for yourself. I absolutely will not let you just sit there and throw a pity party. And I will be the first person to hold space when someone needs to break down. I'll be the first. I was actually with someone the other day, and I had to go at her, I had a real go at her for playing the pity. And then I held her as she cried and cried and cried and cried. Then I said, right, come on, what we're going to do next? We're going to start pulling yourself up. Let's get on with it. Come on, you've done it now. You've had your chance to break down. You've had your chance to throw things around and scream and shout and smash things. And I think that's necessary. You need to get all of that out. I'm not saying deny that, because that's just an explosion waiting to happen. Face it, deal with it, just don't dwell in it. Just don't stay there. I have my dark days. I have my days I go into my cave. And if you're sensible, you'll leave me the hell alone. You will not, you will just stay out of my way. I can be really, really foul and really grumpy. But I also know I won't let myself stay there too long. I know maybe 2 days max, and I'm kicking my ass to get back out of there.
Beautiful. And I can totally relate to what you are saying here. A pity party does not help anyone in any way. It just gets you to dwell in the pain more and more, and you don't see any way out. So I truly support your amazing way of helping people deal with their mindset, move on.
I do remember, just really quickly, this film once I watched was a lady who escaped a very violent man, and she was in a shelter, and she had a child. She was broke down. She was lying on the floor in complete heat, breaking down, so she couldn't do it. And this stranger comes in from another room in the shelter and says, "Get up." And she's like, "Oh, you don't know how hard and how difficult it's been." And she's like, "I don't care. Get up." And she screams at her to get up. And she's like, "Don't shout at me. I can't cope with people shouting at me." She's like, "Get up. Now, right, let's sort out this room. Let's sort this out. Let's make it nice as we can. Let's hang some curtains. Let's do this. Let's get you out and find you a job. Let's get you going." Because actually, you just lying there feeling, yeah.
You're right. It's that time in life when you just have a choice. As you said so much about choice, you either go up or just stay down. And staying down is not really staying down, because you go lower and lower and lower. It's never the same when you're down. You just go lower and lower. So thank you for your amazing insight today. Thank you to the amazing Kezia for creating this wonderful book that has put us all together, for the Paid Forward series, for the Notes to My Younger Self book. And thank you to Glenn for putting us in contact. I am learning from you, and I'm sure that everyone watching us and listening to us gets so inspired by your strength and authenticity, Esther. Thank you so much. And is there a word of wisdom that you want to tell everyone before saying goodbye today?
Go and buy the book. It's not just my story. There's so many stories in there, and you'll need a massive box of tissues. I can't get through it without crying, but then I cry at everything. So I might not be the best Kate. I really do cry at anything. I was the girl who was pulled up for being in the cinema watching Winnie the Pooh, having a go at Christopher Robin because he was being mean to Pooh. That was me in the cinema going, "You leave Pooh alone!" And my friend who was with me was like, "A bit loud, Esther." A bit loud. So I was there in tears going, "He's being mean." So look, I am the worst person at crying, but it really is. Everyone's put their heart and soul on the line, and we've done it in the hope that it'll make a difference to someone out there. And there were times when leading up to the book launch, I was like, "I've changed my mind. I don't want to help anyone out there. I'm withdrawing my story." Actually, for all these people out there, I could have helped you. You're on your own. Go sort yourself out. Because it's scary making yourself that vulnerable.
Exactly.
But I'm glad to have done it. I feel it was something I needed to do right now. It's helped me with the process. It's helped me heal. And yeah, hopefully become a better person for it.
For sure, Esther. Thank you again, and wishing you all the best in the world, my dear. I cannot wait to see what amazing things you are going to create from now on. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure, and have a wonderful Christmas and Happy New Year and all that.
Thank you, my dear. You too. Bye.
Bye.